Welcome to Spanglish Friends, the podcast for true beginner Spanish learners.
Hola amigos, I'm Val, your co-host and experienced Spanish teacher from Venezuela.
And I'm Em, your Australian co-host who's been learning Spanish for 10 years.
Our goal is simple, to get you confident listening and speaking in beginner Spanish with content you'll actually use in real-life conversations.
Join the Spanish Friends community by subscribing wherever you listen to podcasts and following us on social media at Spanglish_friends. Let's get started.
Comencemos.
Hello, Spanglish friends.
Hola, hola, and welcome to part 3, the final part of our crash course series on Spanish pronunciation.
Yes, we are going to be finishing answering the question that all beginners have, which is how do I pronounce words in Spanish?
And our promise, amigos, is that by the end of today's episode, you are going to have all the tools to be able to do just pick up any menu, for example, in Spanish, and pronounce every word correctly. Again, you may not know the meaning of each word, but you will be able to pronounce it like a true Spanish speaker.
Yes, and this is just truly amazing, okay? In just over an hour, you will have learnt something that probably took you years to do at school in English.
Yes, that's right, Emmy.
Yes, so if you haven't already, head back to part 1 of the crash course where we broke down how Spanish is a phonetic language. We discussed the letter H, which is a silent letter, and we learned how to read words in Spanish if they have little accents on the top of them, little slanted lines over the vowels. And then in part 2, we learned how to pronounce the vowels and the rest of the consonants in the alphabet, plus some letters which don't sound like they do in English. I also realized after editing the last episode that sometimes it gets confusing when I say vowel versus referring to our co-host and prophet Val. So I'm so sorry in advance, friends. I will try to distinguish this the best I can moving forward.
Learn your vowels with Profe Val. I love it.
Yeah, me too. Well, friends, today, part 3, our final part of our crash course. At the end of today's episode, you're going to be able to answer these 3 questions. 1, what are the unique letter combinations in Spanish and how do I pronounce them? And this is going to feature a demonstration of me trying to demonstrate how to roll your R's as an English speaker. Val's going to do it like a legend. Number 2. Question number 2, what are the 2 special letters that I need to know about and how do I pronounce them in Spanish? We hinted this in a previous episode. And then final question we're going to answer is what are the different ways that some of these letter combinations may be pronounced depending if you're listening to a Spanish speaker from different countries around the world? So say, for example, Spain versus somewhere in South America. What are the key differences? The first question today is unique letter combinations in Spanish. We're talking about 2 letters put together. What unique sounds do they make when we pronounce them in Spanish?
Okay, you may remember from last week's episode, we discussed how in English there are many letter combinations which produce their own sounds, right? Well, Spanish has a few of these too, but just a few.
Yes, and the good thing is that they're consistent. Unlike English, where 2-letter sound combinations can change, like the TH sound in think, the versus that, whereas the is going to be consistent sounds that you learn.
And we are going to start today by giving you the rapid lowdown of the 5 unique letter combinations you need to know as a beginner.
Absolutely. So strap in your seatbelt. We're starting with unique combination number 1 in Spanish, which is whenever you see 2 letter L's together, the double L sound. Now, it's not like in English where it would make the same sound like the word bell or balloon. It's not going to have this same L sound. Isn't that right, Val?
Exactly, that's right. In Spanish, a double L creates the Y sounds in English.
Let's start with the word llama, for instance, okay? In English, you might say llama, okay? If you want to pronounce the word llama, the animal, correctly, that you might see wandering around Machu Picchu, okay? The correct way you pronounce it, which is written double L-A-M-A, you would say llama. Instead of llama, you say llama because that double L makes a J sound.
Another example is pollo, pollo, which in Spanish means chicken. It's written Pollo, but you should pronounce it pollo and not polo.
Yes, yes. Don't be like me on my first trip I did to South America where I said, "Can I have the pasta con polo?" No, it is pollo. So now, whenever you see chicken in Spanish, don't say me da el polo, say me da el pollo.
Great example. Sound number 2 you need to know with double letters in Spanish is the double R sound when you have RR in a word. The R.
Oh, the R. Oh, I must admit, now I even dread this sound as a long time Spanish student, having been learning Spanish for 10 years. Tell us, Profe Val, how do we know when we see a word with the letter R in Spanish, how do we know to pronounce it with just like a regular R, like we do in English, versus this trilled or rolled R sound?
Well, Emmy, the R is rolled when it appears at the beginning of a word. It's why you have been saying at the end of the podcast, Reto instead of Reto. Okay, you are applying this rule each time.
Yes, reto, that's right. When I'm saying and introducing our challenge for the week, instead of reto, I'm saying el reto.
Exactly. The only other occasion when you roll the R sound is when it's a double R in a word. When you see those double R's in a word, this will usually appear in the middle of a word. I'll give you an example. Perro, the word for dog. This is spelled Perro. Notice how I roll the R? Now the R pronunciation can take you time to master because it's a very strong sound. However, don't worry, if you cannot say correctly from the beginning, it will come with enough time and practice, I promise, and people will understand you, even if you don't have it 100% as a beginner.
Val, tell us your top tips for native English speakers, because this is a foreign concept to us. How can we learn to start pronouncing the double R sound, the R, correctly in Spanish?
Okay, so how to master your R? What you need to do is go up to a mirror. Yes, you are going to have to watch yourself at least once doing this, okay? First, once you are in the mirror, close your mouth a little bit.
Okay.
Place the tip of your tongue on the roof of your mouth, just behind your upper front teeth, okay? Then inhale some air and then exhale gently through your throat. Make the tongue vibrate while doing that, okay? Like, you can practice this by saying Spanish words like perro, which means dog, perro, or carro, car, carro.
Okay, here I go. Ready? Perro. I'm still learning, and sometimes I still feel like I'm gargling in my throat, but it's the blowing of the air. Perro.
Please don't be afraid to try, okay? Spanish kids are more knowing how to make the R sound. They need to learn it too. There are lots of videos, of kids not being able to pronounce it. It comes with practice and with time.
Okay, beautiful encouragement from our Prof. Val. Thank you. We definitely needed this. So, okay, we now know that the double L equals the J sound. We know that if we see an R at the start of the word or a double R in the middle of the word, what do we have to do, friends? We have to pronounce it as the R, the rolled R sound. Now, Val, what is the third unique letter combination we need to know as beginners?
It's some combos with the letter G, with the letter G, especially the three letters combo G-U-E, G-U-E, and G-U-I, G-U-E.
Okay, so if we see the letters G-U-E in a word or G-U and I, how do we say these letter combos?
Well, with the G-U-E in G, the U is not pronounced, and the G keeps its hard G sound. For example, guerra, the word for war. Guerra, the U there is silent here. You pretend like it's not there. It's spelled like G-U-E-R-R-A, but it sounds like I'm just saying G-E-R-R-A. The U is silent when it's written G. Similar with the G-U-I. In this case, we pronounce it G. The U is silent and the G sounds hard. Let me give you another example. Guitarra, guitar, guitarra. The U again is silent. This is spelled like Guitarra, but it's pronounced as it was written, Gitarra.
Now on to number 4, which is 2 more letter combos, Q-U-E or Q-U-I.
Exactly. When we see this letters combo, que or ki, the Q is not pronounced like it is in English. The Q instead makes this k sound.
Yes, that's right. It makes that K letter sound. An example of this K sound would be one of my favorite foods in the world, cheese. And the way that you pronounce cheese in Spanish is queso. I'm making the K sound, but it is written Q-U-E-S-O, queso. Now, notice I'm not pronouncing it like the English word queen, queso. No, this is incorrect. We're pronouncing it like the letter K, queso. So every time I see Q-U-E or Q-U-I, I know that I need to pronounce this as the letter K.
Another example of this is the word quiero, which means to want something, like I want something. This is spelled Q-U-I-E-R-O. Quiero. It's like as it was written with K, but it's not.
That's right, but it's not. Yo quiero queso. I want cheese. That's a good way to practice your Spanish K there with quiero queso. Perfect. And that brings us to our 5th and final letter combination for today, which is the Spanish CH sound, when we see the letters CH together.
Yes, in Spanish, the CH sound is pronounced like the English word church. It's a clear CH, similar to how you would say it in English.
That's right. So we're saying the ch sound just like you would say in the word cheese, like I was saying before, or chip.
Examples in Spanish include chico, which means boy, or chocolate, which, surprise, surprise, means chocolate too in Spanish.
These are very essential words that we're learning. Cheese and chocolate, queso y
Totally.
chocolate. Amazing. So Spanglish friends, there you have it. These are the 5 unique letter combinations you need to start pronouncing stuff in Spanish, which is amazing that you only need to know 5 unique combinations versus English where, like we've discussed, there are 20 probably plus letter combinations, which is crazy. So just to quickly recap, the double L sound, we now know sounds like a J. And to remember this, think about the word llama. We don't say llama in Spanish, we say llama. Or instead of saying polo, we say pollo, which means chicken. No more saying polo when you are ordering your tacos con polo. No, it's tacos con pollo. Number 2, the rolled R sound, which you always pronounce if there's a single R at the start of the word. Now, you can remember this by thinking of our reto of the day, our challenge of the day. We're rolling that R. Or the double R sound in words like perro, which means dog. Third, we had the GUI and the GUE. And we know that with these 2 letter combinations, we pretend that the U is not there in words like guitarra. Then we had the letter combinations que and ki. Now, we know in these combinations, our favorite word cheese, for example, queso, we do not pronounce as queso. No, it is queso. And we also had quiero, which means I want. Quiero queso. Remember that phrase. Then finally, we had the CH sound, which we know we pronounce like the ch in churt, like the word chico, the word for boy.
Oh, wow. Great summary, Emmy. Thank you. Okay, let's get into answering the second question of today's podcast. You spoke earlier that there are 2 unique letters in Spanish, Emmy, that we need to be aware of. That's right?
Yes, so let's quickly cover these 2 letters.
Exactly. Let's do it. The first is the letter ñ sound. Yes, we have 27th letter in the Spanish alphabet, and it's the ñ.
If you want to have a look at our transcript of today's podcast, you'll see how this letter N is written. Picture for me, if you don't have the visual, a normal letter N, but imagine it has like a little wavy line on the top of it. You've probably seen this on your keyboard before, which gives it this special N sound. Now, you've probably seen this little wiggly line on top of an N in words before, perhaps like piña colada, or piñata. Both of these N's have the little ñ.
Great examples. It's pronounced like an NY sound in English.
Yes, ñ. So if you want to think of the word canyon, ñon, the ñon sound, that's the sound that we're aiming for. And it is a super common letter, so you need to know about it.
Like in the word años, which means years, for example.
I remember very early on in my Spanish learning journey the importance of the ñ, because without it, you can change the meaning of the word completely. An example here is una versus uña. Uña, which is written u, ñ, a, means nail, like your fingernails, versus una, which is written u, regular n, a, means the number one, like one thing. An example would be una hora, which means 1 hour. So this is a completely different word just by putting a little squiggle on top of the N, okay? And the only thing you need to remember, Spanglish friends, is that the little squiggle only appears above the letter N. So it's not going to appear randomly on top of any other letters out of the blue.
Great. So now we know the first special letter, ñ. What's the second special letter in Spanish we need to know, Emmy?
So the second one we need to know about Spanglish friends is that there is a special letter U in Spanish.
Exactly. Now, this is quite rare, but important to know in case you see it. It's seen in words like pingüino, for example, which is the word for penguin.
Yes, that's right. Now, you would think because of how it's written, which is Penguino, going back to the rules we said before, the gui, you'd think that you just say gi and drop the U just like we were talking before. But this is a special U because it has 2 dots on the top of it and it changes its pronunciation.
Exactly. We call these 2 dots diéresis in Spanish. Just the letter U has it, no other letters, just the U. And its purpose is just simply to indicate that you need to actually pronounce the U when it's written with, for example, GUE, as we talked previously, and GUI. If you see those letter combinations with diéresis with 2 dots on the U, this means that you have to pronounce the U. There are not many words using them compared to how many use the ñ in Spanish.
That's right. You don't use it often when writing things in Spanish. So the best example, friends, to remember is the word pingüino.
Exactly. Just remember the little cute penguin needs you to pronounce the U.
I like this.
So in summary, when you see an ñ with a little wavy line, you are going to pronounce it ñ. It's pronounced like, as Emmy gave the example, piña colada instead of pina colada. Can you see the difference? Piña versus pina. And when you see an U with dots on top of it, you gotta pronounce it like pingüino. Pronounce the U, pingüino. Don't let our friend the penguin down.
I love it. And that brings us to our third and final question of today's podcast that we promised Val to answer very quickly. And it's something important, which is, do these letter combinations sound different when they're pronounced by Spanish speakers, for example, who come from Spain versus Latin America?
The short answer is yes. We have different accents and dialects, but you don't need to remember all of this, friends. It's just good to know. For example, if you start hearing a person from Argentina say something different to, for example, someone in Spain, you will know why.
Yeah. Okay. Well, could you give us some common examples we could listen out for, Val?
Sure, Emmy. For example, in Spain, normally the C before E or I is pronounced like a TH sound. As we said, for example, in our previous episode, cena, dinner, they might pronounce it like cena, for example, cena, in some regions like in Madrid, while in Latin America, the same C is pronounced like an S, as we learned in the previous episode. So it would be cena.
Okay, I got it. And something I noticed when I was traveling Argentina last year is, you know how we were speaking earlier this episode about the double L sound, how it's pronounced like J, like pollo. Okay. In some areas of Argentina, they pronounce it like a sho sound instead of jo. It becomes this like S sound. So they would say stuff like pollo.
That's right. You're doing the Argentine people Proud, Emmy.
Shout out to my Argentinian friends. Okay, cool. We have covered an awful lot today, Spanglish friends, in terms of letter combinations, some new letters. So we know that we don't retain information unless we put them into practice. So let's have a quick little practice with Profe Val and start to sound out some of these unique combinations and letters.
Ooh la la, let's do it. And let's set the scene for today's. Let's build on what we learned last week, ordering things in Spanish. Let's pretend, in this case, I'm a waitress at a fast food store and M is ordering some food for her group of friends. Let's keep building on the concepts we learned in the last episodes. So, Emmy, are you ready?
Sí, Profe Val, I'm ready.
Entonces, comencemos.
Hola, señora.
Hola, ¿cómo estás?
Bien, gracias. ¿Me da el pollo, por favor?
Sí. ¿Y qué más?
¿Un perrito caliente?
Ok. ¿Algo más?
Sí. ¿El guiso del día?
Chévere. ¿Y algo más?
Quizás una bebida, por favor.
Genial. Gracias. Espera 10 minutos.
Ok, gracias. How did you go, Spanglish friends? Did you hear us perhaps using one, two, or a few of the letter combinations we spoke about? We actually happened to use all of them.
Let's break it all down. What did M order?
What food and drinks did I order? So first in the conversation, I said hola to you, señora. And señora is spelt with the ñ that we just spoke about. And this is just like saying, hello, ma'am. Hi, ma'am. How you doing?
Yes. And then M started her order using the sentence structure we learned last week. To order something, she said, me da. And then the thing she was ordering.
That's right, which in the first instance was not polo. No. We know it is pollo or pollo.
I then followed with the Y, the E, the double E sound we covered in the last episode. Now I said, ¿y qué más? ¿Y qué más? Which means, what else? What else would you like to order?
¿Y qué más? That's right. And I replied, un perrito caliente. Un perrito caliente, which means a hot dog. I wanted a hot dog. And the perrito is kind of like perro, the dog. It's like when you add ito on the end of something, it means a little something. So I added that to say a little hot dog, perrito, and I knew that this had a double R in the word. So I pronounced it as that trilled, rolled R sound. Well, I gave it my best go.
You did. Absolutely. Perrito caliente. Awesome. And I said algo más, which means something else. Algo más, to which M replied, el guiso del día. El guiso del día. The soup of the day. Guiso is written Guiso. And we know with the gi or ge, we don't pronounce the U. It's like it was written Giso. We go straight to pronouncing the I.
That's right. We're not saying guiso. No, we're saying guiso. We're pretending the U is not there. Two more call outs from this quick conversation was the word chévere, which you used to reply Val, chévere. And that's a really cool Colombian slang word, which means, okay, great.
We also used it in Venezuela. This is great.
And Venezuela. Yes, I love it. Perfect. And another great example of the che sound that we were talking about before, che, chévere, just like in the English word church. The last thing that I ordered was quizás una bebida. Quizás una bebida. And we spoke about una bebida is a drink last week. Quizás means maybe. So I said quizás una bebida. Now, quizás is spelled Quizas or Zas. Quizás. Now, notice I didn't say quizás, I said quizás because I'm practicing that K sound. Whenever we see QUE or QUI, we're pronouncing it as the K sound in English. quizás.
Great explanations. Well done, Spanglish friends. You are well
Woohoo!
on your way now to be able to start reading and pronouncing Spanish, ordering food out loud.
That's right. That's right. So, again, remember, Spanglish friends, this has been a rapid fire crash course series. Okay. You have learned things that probably took you as a native English speaker 1 or 2 years to learn back in primary school. And now you could pick up any menu, look at any song lyrics in Spanish, maybe signs in Spanish, and you could start to read them and pronounce them properly with all of the tools we've given you.
Totally. Totally. We have covered a lot today, right? So we always promise here are your 3 things you should remember from today's session. If you forget absolutely everything else, these are 3 things, 3 letter sounds I want you to concentrate on learning from memory. Okay? Number 1, double L sounds with vowels ja. For example, double LA sounds like llamar, which is the verb to call. Number 2, the ñ, this N with the wavy line on the top, sounds like, for example, piña, which is the word for pineapple. And number 3, the double R sound is going to sound R, like, for example, the word perro, which means dog.
And on to the reto of the day, pronouncing the trilled R there, notice, Profe Val, is to find a word that either starts with the letter R or contains a double R in Spanish. We want you to write it in the comments section. Obviously, tell us what it means. And then I want you to practice, Spanglish friends, saying it out loud. Practice actually rolling your R sounds like perro. Okay, practicing the blowing of the air. There are heaps of tutorials online if you want to go nuts in practicing it. We can't wait to see what you find and how your practice went.
And that's it, Spanglish friends. You've officially done it. You have completed our crash course on how to pronounce anything in Spanish as a beginner.
That's right. Now you can start pronouncing anything in Spanish, even if you don't know exactly what everything means yet.
In our next episode, we are going to be diving into another important topic.
Oh, what are we doing next lesson, Profe Val? What are we learning next podcast?
Well, we are going to be talking about the genders in Spanish and why they are so important to understand how you can start speaking out loud proficiently.
I'm looking forward to it, Profe Val. Well, again, well done, Spanglish friends, on getting through this rapid fire crash course. Increíble trabajo. Incredible work. Until next time, Spanglish friends.
Thank you so much, amigos, and see you next time. Ciao, ciao. Thank you for listening to Spanglish Friends. We are both so proud of the time you're investing to level up your Spanish listening and speaking skills.
If you've enjoyed today's episode, follow us and give the show a rating wherever you listen to podcasts. Or even better, tell a friend about the show. It's how we can help even more people on their Spanish learning journeys and continue to grow our awesome, supportive community.
Don't forget to check out our socials, including Instagram and TikTok at Spanglish_friends for even more beginner Spanish fun.
Congratulations on taking another step today towards your Spanish learning goals. Ciao, Spanglish amigos. Until next time.
Hasta la próxima, amigos.